Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
How's everybody doing this morning? Good? Yeah. Fantastic. My name is Tom Bridge. I'm the president of the Brookland Neighborhood Civic Association. We'll call the meeting to order here in about 3 or 4 minutes. Just a warning to everybody, we did say that we would record this meeting, and I am recording this meeting this morning. This recording will be available for public distribution. And I would ask that if you do ask a question today during the meeting, that you please introduce yourself to your neighbors before you do so, and speak in a loud, clear voice so that the recording can reflect that. So thank you, everybody. Enjoy some donuts. We're going to take a quick pause, and everybody grab their seats, get signed in. If you are new, if this is your first BNCA meeting, there are membership forms on the desk over there. Membership is $10. It is the best deal in town. After all, you get donuts and coffee once in a while. So, not to mention community with your neighbors, which is wonderful. So thank you all for breaking your Saturday morning with us, and we appreciate it. And we'll get started here about 10 past the hour, which is 2 minutes from now. My goal is to have us all out of here by 12, at the absolute latest. And if I can do 11:30, you bet I will. Cool. All right, I am going to get some coffee. Okay. All right, folks, we're going to get moving this morning. We have a lot to talk about. So welcome, everybody, to Howard University School of Divinity. For those who haven't been here, I encourage you to take a walk around. It's pretty cool. It's a really neat building. If you haven't seen it before, it's kind of a gem in our neighborhood. So please take a gander around the campus. My name is Tom, as I mentioned before. I'm the president of the BNCA. Daniel Schramm is in the back of the room. He's the vice president. Good morning. Clyde Glassengale, who is the treasurer, is on retreat this weekend and can't be with us. And our secretary is Gabriella McFadden. So thank you all for coming this morning. As I mentioned previously, this meeting is being recorded for public release. So please identify yourself when you ask a question. Thank you. We have 3 pieces of old business, but before we do that, we have one small announcement from John Feely.
So this in the fall, Walking Academy usually happens. So I went on their website for BC Cultural Tourism, and they haven't made a request for neighborhood tours, but Brookland has been doing tours. Phil and myself and about 8 other people have been doing tours in the neighborhood in response to Walking Academy. So they just made a change in their executive director. So I'm waiting for that call for tour guides. But I wanted to open that up to the membership. Anybody who's interested in learning about Brookland, doing general tours of the neighborhood, or even having a specific interest that you want to share with people about architecture or history. This event usually happens at the end of September and early October. So I'm going to put out a proposal for a couple of dates when people would like to go out and get a sample tour, and I share my tour guide notes with people. So that's
great.
Coming in the next month.
Awesome. Thank you, John. We have 3 pieces of old business, which I hope to move through fairly quickly. The Great Brookland Yard Sale was last weekend. Unfortunately, due to rain, we needed to move it from Saturday to Sunday, which was Mother's Day and not the most popular decision I've ever made. With regrets, we will fix that for next year and arrange for a rain date on the following Saturday. However, I did see a lot of people running through the neighborhood. I know that our sale was well attended over on Monroe, over on 16th, and several others had said that they did pretty well on Sunday. I would say that we had approximately 80 houses register this year, and about a quarter dropped out for the Sunday dates. So we'll know that for next year, and we will make plans accordingly not to put the rain date on Mother's Day. However, I believe the Garden Club did gangbusters business.
We did better than we've ever done, and almost we're not quite, but we're getting close to $1,000. So
hey,
that's good.
That's great. Good for the Garden Club.
So all of you start potting up your plants for next year.
Cool. And I know that there were a lot of people that ended up with a lot of great plants out of that sale. So, and I was going to say thank you to our sponsors, who were the Minkiti Group and Abbott Clark, who did a lot of printing for us and a lot of resource development, including delivery of sale packets. So if you've got a sale packet, please be sure to say thank you to them. They sent you stickers and Sharpies and signs and whatnot. Thanks all for participating. We'll aim for the same day next year, which is the Saturday before Mother's Day. We'll probably put together a committee for this one in January to get wider distribution and to see if we can align next year with the Edgewood yard sale, which is today, I believe. So I was going to say, if you're not headed doing anything this afternoon, there are a whole bunch of yard sales going on the other side of the tracks today. So please be sure to frequent your Edgewood neighbors at their sale. We also had a statehood resolution come before the group last month for voting this month, and it was distributed to members ahead of the event. Daniel, did you have anything to say about this, since this was your motion?
I'm in the middle of my baking donut, but sure. And actually, I have copies which folks will pass out if they have a chance to see. There's not enough for one for everybody, so maybe like one for every 4 or 5 people. So, as many long-term BC residents know, the issue of BC statehood has been around for a very long time, but it's one that we've been working on here in Brookland and one in the larger BC community. So, one of the things that we can do to show our support for BC statehood is to pass resolutions like this one, which a number of other civic and civic associations around Civic have done before. At the last meeting, introduced the resolution and distributed it for folks to look at. I haven't really got any comments, probably because for most folks, an issue like this isn't all that controversial if you live in DC. But if you want to open the floor for discussion here, what we said at the last meeting was we would have an opportunity for folks to look at the resolution, to think about it, to perhaps even suggest amendments or changes if you wanted to, and then have a discussion at this meeting, and then have a vote of the voting members of the Brookland Neighborhood Civic Association to pass this resolution. So we also have some August members here, such as Joshua Birch, who has been very active on this issue, and I would be happy to turn the floor over to him to talk about it more.
Mr. Birch.
Hey everybody, I'm Josh. And what Dan said, I agree with. The other thing is this isn't a resolution that's going to sit out in space. Since December of last year, the Ward 5 group that a lot of us are the Brookland group, we've met with 44 Senate offices to talk about statehood. So in a very short period of time, we've been meeting with senators, most of whom have said no one has ever come to them to talk about DC statehood. And that's our elected officials, that's other groups around the city. Even though a lot of people talk about it in the streets, not many people are knocking on the doors in Congress and say we want statehood. So this resolution is important for a couple reasons. We have our own little summary sheets of what the statehood bill does to educate members of Congress and their staff about it. We have a wonderful map. But one of the things that we do is when we have lobby days, we've had 2 lobby days this year, one on March 1st, one on April 16th. We've had about 16 people participate in each lobby day, which is great. But at the same time, there's a lot more people who can't make it to those lobby days. So having resolutions like this, it can go into our packet and it can say, we already know that the Bloomingdale Civic Associations pass it. We know the Bay Street Civic Associations pass it. It would be great to have Brookland pass it and Edgewood and some other civic associations so that the voice of those people that can't make it to the meetings can be heard when we go and meet with these members of Congress and their staff. So I think it's a really important resolution. Most of it, quite frankly, is just stating facts. There is really not much in here that's controversial. It's just really whether people want statehood or not, and that's what the resolution's about. And so I would encourage people to vote for it. I think it's a good resolution. We actually, like most good ideas, we copied it from elsewhere. ANC 3F passed this resolution last year. I think we've done some wordsmithing, we've updated some facts, but this is something that's already been passed in other parts of the city and other civic associations in Ward 5. So I would encourage people to pass it. I also would encourage you to join our group. We're going to start having regular meetings every second Saturday of the month. And we have one this afternoon at 3 p.m. in San Antonio, Marlboro. So you can learn more about us then. Thanks.
Thank you, Josh. Are there any people in the audience with comments or concerns about this proposed resolution? I think it's a grand idea. I would move that Brookland Neighborhood Civic Association adopt this resolution. I would need a second from the floor.
I'll second.
Second.
Second from Shawnee Hernandez. I suppose at this point, the question is called. Are there, I was going to say, for those who are new to the association, if you are just joining BNCA for the very first time, due to a change in our bylaws late last year, early this year? Late last year, that precludes members who have been members for less than 30 days from voting in an open session meeting. So for those of you who have just joined us today, we will welcome you back at our June meeting as voting members. But for now, if you are just brand new to the association, we would ask that you please not vote. All in favor of the statehood resolution passing the BNCA and our endorsement placed upon it, please say or raise your hand. All opposed? Any abstentions? The support is unanimous. So we're for statehood. All right, that takes us through our second item on the old business section. Takes us to our third, which is the Brookland Green Response Committee. There were 4 members of the committee present a week and a half ago, give or take. 3 of them are in the room. It's myself, Phil Blair, and Carol Jacobs. Caroline Petty is also a member of the committee who was not able to attend the meeting. The discussion was, I'm sorry, Mary Pat Rowan, who is not with us today. The discussion concerning the space on the eastern edge of the Metro property, which is potentially available for lease by the Metro board at some time in the near future. They have not specified a plan. Is an area marked as the Brookland Green by the community. It is an area of large deciduous trees that provide a significant amount of shade for the community, and a gathering place that the community respects. And our concern primarily is that this land might be then leased or sold to an organization that would tear down the trees, put a large building right there. As a committee, it was recommended that we engage Metro in some proactive discussion to try to preserve that space as a community space. And that is where the Brookland Green Response Committee was formed. We've had one meeting, we'll have several more. And the next meetings will be publicly announced. We wanted to get our feet under us, establish some facts and evidence. And we will be releasing some findings here in the next week to the membership. Our primary concern was establishing the facts. Who owns the land? What is the effect of a lease? What is the effect of the zoning laws in the current environment? What are the trees, for example? So there was a tree survey done. And we have established some basic facts. There was an early draft of a letter to Muriel Bowser, who is the chair of Metro's Planning and Real Estate Development Committee. And that will be made public as soon as revisions are complete. Our next meeting will be in approximately 2 weeks. We'll have that location publicly announced, and all members are welcome to join. If you'd like to participate, if you wanted to make sure that you're on that list, please come see me after the meeting, or see Phil or Carol or Caroline. Phil, Caroline, Carol, did you guys have other concerns for the meeting?
No, but congratulations on you picking Bowser, who's running for mayor.
Oh yeah, she's that is what she very definitely wants to be mayor of the District of Columbia, and she's going to want Brookland to support her.
And she's on the Metro board.
And she's on the Metro board, and she's the chair of the Real Estate Development Committee. She is our clear. That's who our voice should go to, at least at this time, until there's more information in terms of who's going to be leasing the space or what their plans are. That is our intent. Which takes us to the new business section. I'd like to welcome Tony Tomeldon, John Solomon, and Frank Hankins, and their friends who are with us today to talk about Brookland's finest bar and grill, or bar and kitchen, sorry. Gentlemen. Brookland's finest, I like it. You wouldn't mind coming up front? Sure.
Yeah, we have a quick thing we can read, and we can just open this to questions. I think. What do we want to do?
Yeah. Well, number
Don't
one,
fight.
thank you
Don't
for
fight.
inviting us. Yeah, right. Thank you for inviting us to the meeting. We wanted to be here. There's probably a number of people here that maybe were not at the last meeting where we had at least the opportunity to present, Brookland's finest, and so we can give a presentation. I think for the most part, Tony and Sally and I guess Tony spent several hours drafting something, so I'll let.
Just so I don't lose track, the big questions right now seem to be the hours and the occupancy. And just as a quick explanation, when you're opening a place like this, you have to go through ABRA, and each time you make a change, ABRA is the Alcohol Beverage Regulatory Association. Every time you make a change with them, it's time and money. So the hours that we've applied for full hours and full occupancy.
Could you tell us what full hours are in this case?
Closing at 2 on Fridays, 2 through the week, and then 3 on Fridays and Saturdays.
And starting at 8 in the morning.
Cool.
So we did apply for those full hours. I can't really ever see serving liquor at 8 o'clock in the morning to get in the way of Frank's coffee. And currently, we're not even sure the business is here to stay open that late. It's going to be an evolving thing with the hours, but to save time with that, we've just applied for the full hours. Same with occupancy. Our plans call for, I believe, 20 seats on Jackson Street. 24 with the counting the 6 cars.
Plus the 6 cars.
And then there's, the full application says 40 outdoor seats. So I guess that's for the back. Is that correct?
On the front on 12.
Again, we're applying for the full seating capacity for down the future. Other than that, those seem to be the biggest concerns. Parking, I know is a concern that everybody has. We're going after Brookland mostly, so we're hoping to encourage mostly walk-up and bike traffic. There's a cabbie stand going to the other end of the block, and we're going to be petitioning for a bike rack from the city, or we'll get Scott to build one. Scott back there is the owner of the site. The other big thing that everybody keeps bringing up to me is,
Can I say, on that same note, we're already engaging anyone that has a sizable space for parking, whether it's the church or any other. We've already started speaking to people at those establishments to see if we could work out an arrangement for people to be able to park there. So, we realize that is a concern, but, we're trying to kind of nip it in the bud so it doesn't become an issue at all.
the other thing we're going to encourage that we've done down on 8th Street is full zone parking on all the surrounding blocks. And the thing that works very well on H is the resident only, one side of the block being resident only. I'm not sure, some folks from the 1200 block of Kearney said that they weren't able to get that done because they go through and they check out-of-state cars. But if we can do that, checking permits, that might be a way to go about that. Noise is the other big one. We're not applying for any entertainment endorsements. No DJs, no karaoke. It'll be background music. And mostly we're looking for a dining atmosphere. It's not a lounge atmosphere. And I think that seems to be all the concerns that we've had going about.
I was just wondering if you could just give a quick overview of the concept of the restaurant itself, just level set everyone. Maybe people didn't know about the restaurant.
We're going for an American comfort food menu. Just a neighborhood. We want a small neighborhood place. Have a few drinks. Have a meal. We'll be opening from breakfast till dinner. Breakfast till close. Frank's going to be doing a coffee program all day. Frank ran soba down on 8th Street for several years. So I've heard the coffee is good. It's a little strong for my taste, but we have a very talented secret chef that we can't really identify yet because we don't want her to lose her current job yet. Just a comfortable neighborhood place is what we want to do. I want to be able to walk down the street and not make my wife eat dinner every night.
What kind of surroundings are going to be for the Southern Cafe?
What kind of?
Surround. Is there going to be any kind of noise baffling?
Well, in my head, I was thinking some sort of plans, but I think that the hours aren't going to be late enough for that to be a problem. I don't think, again, the outdoor patio is primarily going to be for dinner service, so I don't think that, again, all of these concerns will go through with the neighborhood as we develop. I don't know if we can do a fence or that kind of, we're not going to put a big roof outside. It's just an outdoor patio is what we're hoping for.
Yeah, but you probably, at your house, get people who are out in front of desks.
Yes.
And,
But again,
people are not going to be as drunk as those people.
What's that?
People are not going to be as drunk as those people.
I'm not sure how drunk they are. I can only say what I've seen late at night, but again, it's going to be more of a dining atmosphere. The tables that we have will be for dining instead of.
But you're getting a tavern, you're asking for a tavern license.
You're asking for a tavern license.
Do you want to say one?
Again, the difference between a tavern license and a restaurant license is dealing with ABRA. When you have a restaurant license, the sales requirements are somewhat. There are very big requirements for food sales that can be difficult to meet. And then there's also, you have to file a quarterly report with ABRA.
I hear you.
So the less we have to deal with
I
the city.
think the quarterly reporting is probably the bigger thing. I mean, nobody wants to have to do quarterly reporting if you don't have to. But, it's 55 dining seats inside. My guess is, I mean, when I go to places that serve food, I almost always sit at the bar and order food at the bar unless I'm with a bunch of friends. So I think that's going to be, pretty typical, is that people are going to, most people, I would gather that the majority of people there are going to be ordering some type of food. So I don't think that it'll be an issue meeting the percentage of food sales that ADRA requires, but having to report quarterly becomes,
You would have to raise your prices to cover the costs.
Yeah, it's not much that. Nobody wants to have to file anything quarterly.
It's like going to the DMV 4 times.
No,
Okay, can you guys talk about ties that you have to the neighborhood? Ties that you have to the neighborhood?
Myself, I live on Kearney Street, so I live a block away. And we've been in that house for 10 years. My father was raised on 13th and Taylor. My great-grandparents bought there in the early 1900s, and I lived there until 70. My dad and me and all my kids, we were all baptized in St. Anthony's. I love this neighborhood, I want to stay in this neighborhood, but if I don't get my wife a place to walk for dinner occasionally, she's going to make me move. So we want to be as close as possible. We want to stay in this neighborhood. I'm afraid that with the new development on the other side of the tracks, I'm afraid there's going to be a lot of chains in that kind of place. So we're hoping to have a place that represents us on this side of the tracks.
Well, I guess
Go ahead.
no, I've been here 25 years. My family is originally from DC. My grandparents taught at McKinley Tech. I live in Bloomingdale now, and I guess I coach rugby up at Catholic. So this would be my connection.
And they're really good. They beat Georgetown all the time.
I don't have any specific ties to Brookland. I live in Northwest DC. I've been a DC resident for 26 years, most of that time living on Capitol Hill in the 8th Street area where Tony and I had businesses. But I like Brookland as a neighborhood, and I think it could be, with the type of establishment that we're bringing, a more livable, walkable type of community where, again, you don't have to hop in your car and go to Mount Rainier or Bloomingdale or other places just to get a good bite of food. Not that there aren't some good establishments, but we want to try to bring a different type of variety to the neighborhood. And Scott, again, who owns the property, lives on Jackson, and so not only does he own the property, but he's developing the property. So he's not going to develop anything or build anything that's not good for the neighborhood.
If I can add a little to that, I've owned that building for about a year and a half, and it's always been something that I wanted to own that building from the day that I moved into Brookland. I moved here in 2006. I built the house at the corner of 10th and Jackson. When I first came and looked at it, I saw this building, and I was like, someday I need to own it. I figured out how to do it, and for the longest time I sat there because I needed somebody to lease it. I passed up probably 20 to 25 different offers from people who wanted to lease it, who I didn't feel like would fit into the neighborhood plan that I felt like the neighborhood deserved. Until I ran into Tony. Tony and I really took about 6 to 8 months just to kind of hammer out the right deal to make this thing work. We both bled a little bit to make it work, and the reason I think that's important is that I really trust that these guys are going to do the right thing for the neighborhood because it's long and they have the same vision for us that I think is what I always attracted me to the neighborhood. So, yes, my 2 cents, that's it.
Question from the floor, Caroline.
I guess I wanted to explore a little bit with you more about what you're doing to relate and talk to the adjacent residents. I'm not one of the adjacent residents. I live several blocks away at 15th and Otis. But I have to say that I would not want to live next door to a tavern, no matter how good it is. That said, I'm personally very excited about having a new dining option, especially one that deals with caters to kids in part, having a new drinking option. God knows we need that for 12th Street. But still, there are negatives, downsides, as you know, that go with living next door to really any kind of business, much less a drinking establishment. And part of the standard operating procedure around the city and in this neighborhood is to negotiate with neighbors over issues like noise and parking and hours and entertainment and so forth. So I guess I want to know, have you started that negotiation process, and are you planning to?
Yeah, so that was, the placards only went up a week ago, 2 weeks ago. We went to this steps early so we can begin this process. Again, we applied to open to 2 and 3. I don't think the business in this area would support that $8 yet. And also that we're not going to put that on the neighborhood yet. I've gone around to every house in that Jackson, 12th, and Irving. Everybody has my number. There'll be the next meeting, I suppose, will be there'll be the after meeting and the full ANC meeting. I'm fully confident that we applied for those hours because by the time the business will sustain that, the neighbors will trust us enough. My business on H, there's a house, there's a row of homes directly behind my bar. There's an alley and then a house. We've had no problems there. Again, we're going for background music. I understand that the word tavern has some connotation, but we're going for a dining atmosphere that serves there. We're not going to be like TGI Fridays for the kid, thrusting the kids. We're very kid friendly and family friendly. So I just think the atmosphere is not going to be a problem for the immediate neighbors. The patio outside, I don't think we're not going to push the open all night on the patio. And I think we'll set up chunks of time where every 6 months, every 3 months, there'll be some period of time where we can agree to meet with the neighbors and go over all these concerns. Trash pickup is available every day, and we'll use trash. We'll have trash pickup as often as necessary. And if litter on the block becomes a problem, we can send one of the cleaners out to clean the block at the end of the night. I just think that some of the concerns for noise and trash and those kind of things, we're going after the neighborhood. And so if you're walking over from where you live, I don't think you're going to disturb your own neighbors. I'm certainly not going to walk from my house over there and chuck a bottle of beer on the sidewalk as I go over. I just think the atmosphere that we're going after is not going to be.
Okay, well, that leads me to kind of a hard question that I'm asking as a hard question because it's come up with me, and that is that I've heard that I guess you own a bar on H Street, and I think you own a bar on 14th U, somewhere the other way. And I've heard those both described as dives. Whether you own up to that, maybe you're proud of it, I don't know. But I guess is that what you're playing?
That's not the atmosphere.
There's no dining at those. This is a restaurant. They own bars. That's why I emphasize there's 55 dining seats.
And that diving thing.
Yeah, I mean that's.
I don't think I'm old enough to be a dive bar yet. I think that was all you designed to look at.
I'm just saying with the rap on the street is.
And I don't think that's a negative thing either. But that's for sure. I mean, I'm just saying that's not at all. Just because that's something that they own in other establishments, and I own the bar on H Street as well. I mean, different type of bar, but
this is very fancy and winey, so.
Nonetheless, this is very much a restaurant, and even to say tavern is probably taking it a little too far, because it's going to be there's going to be more seats for dining than for drinking, but people are going to have a glass of wine or beer with their food. And others won't. Yeah, I mean, dive bar. Yeah, should be. I love dive bars.
That it's not meant as necessarily a draw from other parts of the city necessarily, but it serves the locals.
Regine's
You can spend hours going over the
Jukebox, or no one.
Now, if we start putting the word CD in
Could
front
we
of
have
it,
a
that's
straw
trouble.
vote in favor of dives? All
I'd
dives?
like to go back to addressing your, Tony and I did, and Tony mentioned it just a few minutes ago, but it was like 2 or 3 Saturdays ago. We went door to door on a Saturday with I think well-prepared information about this is what we're trying to bring to the neighborhood.
Are people raising concerns? I don't have a concept.
Again, the big
of
two
that.
concerns have been parking and
Well, 3: parking, trash, and noise. And what we handed out when we went, a few blocks of Jackson, 12th Street, even not Kearney, but just below Irving. We went door to door. We were fortunate in the fact that the day we did it, it was a nice day. There were a lot of people out doing work in their yards, so we could speak to people. It wasn't just necessarily handing out information. It was putting information indoors, but actually talking to neighbors and letting them know what we were trying to bring to the neighborhood. And we answered questions that they had right there, and I thought it was very positive that we did that. And there were a few people that had heard different things about what we were trying to bring, that maybe it was partly a nightclub, and I'm not sure where that started, but I think we were able to answer a lot of questions that day alone. And and even since then, Tony's been speaking with neighbors, immediate neighbors on Jackson and 12th, about these concerns.
Hey Frank, maybe it's also important to note that the concern about trash is easily mitigated since we have so much space on site that would be behind. I think you go to a lot of restaurants and there's so little space that trash is someplace that's visible, or it can be something, it can be an eyesore from some of these places. We have so much space in the back there that we can cordon off areas where trash is never even seen, and it's easily accessible by trash trucks. I think that's what's unique about the site, is that it's a big site for a small restaurant.
On that same note about trash, I think one thing that could be a problem is nobody wants to hear trash being taken out at 11 o'clock, midnight, 1 a.m. in the morning. So we're gonna limit the hours where we're gonna take out our own trash, whether that's maybe 10 p.m. There won't be any trash, so you won't hear bottles clanging in the dumpster. After 10 p.m. You probably won't even know that we're open is what we're hoping on weeknight for sure. We want to be open, but as Tony mentioned, the outside seating is much more for dining, and it's not likely that we're going to be serving past 10 p.m. outside anyway. And after that, everybody's going to be inside, and we're going to limit the hours that we take out our own trash. In addition, we're going to make it very clear to the people that pick up our trash, to not pick it up before 8 a.m. in the morning, so that people aren't being woken up by the same noises.
I put my phone number on the bottom of every flyer that we handed out. I don't want a lot of calls from the neighbors. So we're going to do everything we can so that I don't get a phone call from that. And that's the same that I work, the same way we work down on H. Again, the guy is probably 20 feet behind us. We've never had, in the 6.5, 7 years I've been over, there's never been a problem.
Sir, I believe you had a question next.
Yeah, do you envision a place where we've covered some of this already? I just want to be sure. Do you envision a place where we can walk in with our kids and we'll be welcome? There'll be specific menus in for the kids.
There's a kids menu attached to our menu, and again, I've got 3 kids.
3 little kids.
Yes, 3 tiny, baby, psychotic kids. And I'm sure everybody else's kids can be, so we want an environment that is very friendly. I don't know, Cafe de Love up in Upper Northwest, I don't know if anybody's been there, but they do a great job of taking care of, a lot of it's training for your staff. When you bring the kids, they got to get their food before you do it. That, the crayons and the coloring books. We definitely, again, the kids are part of this neighborhood.
So from my point of view, I'd like to know that we can walk in.
You can walk in and put the kids over there and watch the rugby over here.
That's good. Just two more comments. In terms of being able to stay out late in the evening, if any of you guys come across the mosquitoes that we have here, I'd be very surprised if anybody could sit out there.
Yeah.
And the last thing, the chef that you're bringing in, try and make sure she knows how to do Irish stew, please.
Do better in the Six Nations.
Mr. Fia.
Well, I'm going for a tavern license and outdoor seating always raise red flags in the neighborhood. But personally, I have never seen a liquor license that Abra didn't like. So I think it's highly likely you will be granted a liquor license. The thing that establishments have difficulty with is if they have a protest from 5 neighbors. And the way to avoid that is to do what you're suggesting, going door to door. And I would highly recommend that you bring your neighbor from 8th Street to those meetings to share with the community, you know, what sort of a business owner you are, how you respond to the community around you from 8th Street. And I always think it's a great idea for any restaurant or bar owner to work out some community agreement ahead of time. And if you guys are doing that,
Our hope is to work that out without involving the city.
yeah,
Or we can do it without, you know.
Much better.
and what will happen then is you will go to your average hearing and you will not have a protest and everybody will be very happy. So, once again, I can hear from what you're saying as a man with a family who lives in the neighborhood, you have potential for great credibility. And I encourage you to pursue that and explore some kind of agreement with the immediate neighborhood.
And again, we're not, I mean, we would like an agreement as well. And I think that what I'd like to do is a 3, 6, some period of time where we meet regularly to discuss it for the first year or so that we're open. And then, we can move forward. I have every confidence that we're going to have very few problems, if any. The ANC fellow down at H has already offered to testify for us as well. So
that's great. And then, and also I imagine your purpose coming to this meeting is to get a letter of support from the organization, which then you could take to the Advisory Neighborhood Commission and then get.
It is to get, I mean, the letter of support is a good thing, but again, establishing these lines of communication is really what we're hoping for.
Very good.
Sean?
I just wanted to jump in because to talk to Caroline and John's point. I am a immediate neighbor. I literally live across the street, and if you stand on my front porch, and it's right there. Literally, maybe not our doors don't exactly align, but basically directly across the street. So we have had quite a bit of extensive dialogue with the restaurant, so I can attest to that. And of course, it doesn't hurt that sort of note coming from around the neighborhood like a lot of people do, but I don't think we knew you guys as well as we do now at all. And of course, Scott as well, and these guys are both great neighbors. So that also gives us a good sense of trust in these guys. But we've gone through a very interesting process as immediate neighbors, and I'm speaking for those of us who live right on the 3100 block of 12th Street, and those who live on what is that, the 1100 or 1200 block of Jack George Street? 1100 block, yeah. So it's been a really interesting process because we're really active in the neighborhood as it is. We know many of the neighbors already. So it wasn't hard to just, hey, you water your lawn, you check, hey, what do you think about that or this? And then in that process, we've also gotten to know a lot of other neighbors that we didn't, maybe we saw them when we were walking the dog, we didn't really know them by name. And so it's been an interesting process because there's been a lot of misinformation about the restaurant that's gone around. And I know these guys are being really polite about it, but I mean, it's been really like off-the-wall misinformation when I'm talking to neighbors, which is not, I don't know where it's coming from, I don't want to speculate where it's coming from, but it's really been divisive. I've heard people say there's going to be an outdoor bar with a nightclub, which is clearly nowhere in the plans, and so there's been a process of just level setting basic information, and after we've done that, we've had a lot of, we've talked to every single household on our stretch of 13 row houses, And we had only out of those two, there's only 2 households that are against the restaurant, and it's purely for, I just don't like alcohol, period, ever, never, ever, whether it's just 1 glass of wine at with a, closed door, whatever. You would never convince them that alcohol is something that can be consumed. So if you have that standpoint, and for the record, I'm Shawnee Hernandez, and I live on 3100 Washington Street, and I also write the Brookland Bridge blog, so for the record. So it's been an interesting process that way. We've also talked to neighbors on Jackson. As we've shared the dialogue, and as you guys have gone around, and we've received at least 2 flyers from you guys explaining the concept and contact information, and please come to meetings, and please reach out, and here's what we want to do. I think there's been a really good dialogue established, and I think there's a really strong support for the restaurant. I will echo what I've heard as a major concern is noise. And I've also heard parking. Quite frankly, I don't think there's much you can do about parking. And we live in a city, and a lot of the neighbors, the immediate neighbors, I counted, out of our 13-row houses, 6 have parking in the back. So that's about roughly half of those across the street. So not to say that it's not an issue, but that I think is one thing, and then the noise is another thing. What we have done, in all honesty, we started a petition for the restaurant. My friend Jose Barrios, or Joe Barrios, and I, and my wife Astrid, because we weren't really looking to start a petition or be full-throated supporters. We just kind of wanted the thing to happen organically. But then we saw how much negative energy and or just kind of spin that is just wrong. I mean, like, it's a nightclub. I heard somebody say, there'll be 6 bars. I don't even know how you could possibly fit 6. Literally, I'm like, who told you 6 bars? Like, a restaurant that would seat 2,000 people wouldn't have 6 bars. Like, what are you talking about? So, because there was such this, like, misinformation out there, we decided to take it a little step further and start that petition. We've got a lot of signatures, and we've also been talking to Tony, kind of on the side about, let's go towards an agreement. And they've been totally open about doing that. And I think the tone for the immediate neighbors is, let's do something ahead of time. Let's not get to the point where we're protesting and fighting and going to the city. We're all neighbors. I mean, Scotland's on the corner. I mean, it's of that street. And so there's no reason why we just can't come together and agree. And I think another thing that is fairly evident is that Brookland is not U Street. Brookland is not H Street. And these guys and I had a lot of concerns. Tony will tell you, the first thing I said, I was like, okay, this is going to be like $2 PBR night with Catholic kids. That's my thing. Am I going to see red plastic cups on my front yard? And, we talked through the business plan, and their business plan is not to market to college kids. And when we really talked about the demographics and the money in the neighborhood and where you're going to get the bang for the buck, and I saw their menu and the prices on the menu, I'm like, okay, no Catholic kid is going to drop $24 for a steak. And so anyway, so now that I've seen the menu and the beer concept and everything, I felt much more comfortable about it being not a dive. Anyway, I'm sorry for rambling, but what we're hoping to do with my friend Joe, he lives on Hamlin, so it's a little bit removed from the fray. We're hoping to maybe come to the table and do something ahead of time, and I think everyone is feeling good about that. So you guys are going to try and put together, maybe be interlocutors for these guys for community agreements? Yeah, I think so, and I think what we'd like to do is get together as a neighborhood first. Sure. Just solely as neighbors, and kind of we're the immediate neighbors, and we've already done these meetings kind of impromptu. When we started the petition, we've actually had people come to our house and we've sat down, and what's really interesting is a lot of times people come to us and they're like, I heard this and I heard that, and we pull out the business plan that we got at the ANC 5B4 meeting, and we said, well, okay, well, take a look at the menu. What do you think about the menu? And automatically they're like, wow, oh look, a kid's menu. Oh look, there's, then you start showing, okay, here's a seating chart, and then it's like, once the information is kind of spread, the real truth information, then people start saying, okay, I can be on board with this, but I don't want them serving alcohol till 2 o'clock in the morning on a patio. And I'm like, yeah, I'm with you. I'm across the street. I don't want to have to open my window at midnight and I hear clanking bottles or, whatever. So, but I think that if you look at the demographic and you look at the restaurants on 12th Street, we have Minamale, we have Little Ricky's, we have, and, for instance, San Antonio has it. I've never heard anyone complain about San Antonio Bar and Grill staying till 3 o'clock in the morning and bottling, because I just don't think this is that kind of a neighborhood where you're going to see that. So I think right there, it just makes, you know, it wouldn't even make financial sense to try to stay open until 3 o'clock in the morning on, you know, on a patio if you're not going to cut them. And Mall is shutting down at like 11 and they're super popular.
Right.
You know.
Can we talk with you? Can we get a meeting set up with your immediate neighbors that we can maybe put out there a little bit and basically say, look, if you live inside this radius, we're getting an immediate neighbors meeting together?
Yeah.
Can we help with that?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think
Okay.
I want Joe to lead this because, I mean, Jose, sorry, I call it both, whatever. Just because since I started the petition and I'm directly across the street, I'm obviously very invested in it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I think, you know, you're close, you're in Hamlin, but it's a little bit
Feel like
more
I got you.
intermediate.
Yeah, I mean, we want to talk to the most immediate neighbors, basically pull what their concerns are,
Right.
so that we can head off, you know, any kind of protest or anything like that. We gather these concerns and we say, what is it that you're willing to live with? We already know, you know, what it is that they want to do. We will tell them what it is that they want to do, and then we'll come to the table and say, hey, you know, so we are willing to be the interlocutor side.
Perfect. Sorry.
Yeah, thanks. Chaz Martin, I'm over on Garden Street. I think it's a great concept. Can you guys talk a little bit about the timeline, about when the hearings are going to happen and when you expect to open? It's a little unclear about what the steps are, like what the ANC decides and what the Beverage Commission decides, what their responsibilities are, and then kind of for the broader community, what can neighbors do, can folks in the neighborhood do if they support the concept? How could supporters be helpful?
So the process is, once we're placarded, there's a 45-day protest period, after which, and depending on whether or not there are protestants, ABBA will set a date for a final hearing. That's if there are no protestants.
And you're already...
We're placarded. So
As of
those
last
are up.
week.
They've been up for at least a week.
I think it was last Friday. They were.
Yeah, last Friday.
So after that, you know, then it goes to ABRA. If there's protestants, then there will be mediation sessions set up. I believe now with the new omnibus, they have 75 days to get a resolution or for ABRA to actually vote on it following the protest period. They're trying to streamline a lot of that. I don't know when the next ANC meeting is for you all.
It is it's this Wednesday?
Because that would be the time within that 45-day period for the ANC to vote on whether or not they support it. You know, we all know that the ANC carries great weight in the ABRA world, whatever that means.
Right. Oh, I mean, great weight, for those of you who are not really involved in the ANC process, great weight means that ABRA must at least address the concerns of the ANC. It does not mean that they have to agree with them. It means that they have to state cogently what the ANC is objecting to and explain their response in response to that. They do not have to agree with the ANC. So it is not that they are afforded more credence. It is merely that they are afforded more attention. So.
And so I think that coming back to what everybody can do to help us would be, if you were supportive of us, it would be send letters to both, or emails to both your SMD rep and to ABRA itself. Because there's a lot of times where things coming into the ANC don't always quite make it to ABRA. So if you could please make sure that you include ABRA on that would be very helpful. Going back to the concerns here, the more specifics that we have, the easier it is for us to address. I mean, like things like noise and parking are very, very general, you know, and it's tough to kind of get ahead of and to deal with. So we would ask that the more specific we can be, the better off, and the easier time we'll have being able to address things, and more successful we'll be.
Sure. Other questions?
I just have one more comment. I'm actually looking around the room, and I see that there are a lot of people who are trying to figure out why there's so much discussion about this. And to be quite honest, there's been lies and disinformation that's been spread about this restaurant. And, you know, this is not these guys saying it, this is me saying it, and that's just the truth. The bottom line is that these guys were not able to talk to the community before when they wanted to. they should have the opportunity to talk to the community and to have the community's concerns be expressed and voiced and answered. If the community is behind them, so be it. If the community is not behind them, so be it. But I think that the reason why you're seeing so much support for them is because on the other side, there's lies, there's disinformation, and there is a negative push. And I think that what you're seeing is a reaction to the negative push. I've not seen this before, and I don't expect to see this again in the future when it comes to another establishment. But for those who are interested, that's kind of the reason why you're seeing so much support. Because this is kind of a groundswell against the disinformation and the lies.
Pursuant to that, Mr. Blair has a resolution.
Do
you want it back?
I'm a little bit, I'm wondering if we have ever had a resolution in favor of an establishment before after the reorganization of the Civic Association.
No, we haven't.
We certainly could. I think a good resolution would do two things. It would authorize the leadership of the organization to write a letter at the appropriate time. That has for us the benefit of clearly expressing what we think, but at the last minute, if you decided for any reason that it was important to you to do it, you wouldn't have to. That's one thing, and I think that a resolution that we pass should acknowledge that it's the people who live closest who should have the greatest efforts and all this.
Sure.
So moved.
So moved. The resolution reads, be it resolved that the membership of the BNCA, the Brookland Neighborhood Civic Association, authorizes the leadership of the organization to write a letter to ABRA in support of the tavern license request by Brookland's finest, with all due deference to the opinions of the most affected immediate neighbors. So moved. I'd need a second for this resolution.
I second.
Second from Shawnee. All in favor? Or I'm sorry, I should open the floor for discussion. I apologize. Questions or concerns concerning this resolution? Shawnee.
So will we do this in tandem with our meeting?
Yes.
After you want to hear the meeting neighbors?
Yes,
Then we'll
because I was going to say we will depend upon the input of the immediate neighbors in order to whether or not we actually write the letter or what the letter says. Mr. Feely.
I recommend that the letter also encourage the proprietor to make a neighborhood agreement that the Brookland Civic Association supports the application, understanding that the owners plan to make a community agreement with the affected neighbors.
I accept that as a friendly amendment. Hope my second does too. Shawnee.
Are you good with that?
Just say yes, Shawnee.
No, well, no. I'd like your. Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah. I'm sorry, actually, can you repeat it? It's a long night.
John, can you repeat that amendment, please?
Yeah. The Brookland Civic Association supports the liquor license application of Brookland's finest.
Well, you can just add a comma at the end of it as it stands.
Yeah.
And say, in the expectation that the owners and operators will have an agreement.
In the expectation of a community agreement with neighbors.
Tom?
Yes, Carol.
I just want to put it on the table that one thing that makes me uncomfortable about this resolution is the organization, we as an organization have not had the opportunity to hear from neighbors with concerns.
Sure.
Now, I understand we've heard from neighbors who are fully supportive and maybe they outnumber. I don't have a good sense of the concerns, but it bothers me that we're proceeding apace without the
Perhaps what we should do is publish this resolution and take it up at the next meeting.
I like that.
And actually invite those members.
Well, I was going to say, this was on the agenda for today. A resolution of support is not.
Well, and if they don't come out, they don't come out.
Right, no.
Or they might not be members, so imagine, the people who are supportive of it, who are members, like Shawnee, maybe they can let them know this is what, the Civic Association is discussing. If you're interested, come.
My only primary concern with that is that we generally allow, we generally put this out a month in advance, and so we'll put this out today. Our next meeting is June 18th.
Right.
Those people in the neighborhood who are not BNCA members as of the end of today
Correct.
would not be permitted to vote on that resolution.
Well, they don't have to vote, but at least you can hear what they
Yeah,
have to say.
no, I think that's welcome.
And I just wanted to also add to that, that all the immediate neighbors got a flyer invitation to this meeting. They literally had a BNCA agenda attached to their home saying, come out to this meeting if you want to talk about the restaurant. So they couldn't, so if they're, I'm not saying maybe they couldn't come or whatever, but I'm saying they were aware that this meeting was happening today, and they were talking about Brookland's finest, and so they couldn't come today because it was publicized into the meeting and the meeting was happening today. So I just wanted to put that on the record.
All right, that is on the record. I think that we need to address Caroline's concern first, and I would recommend that we take a vote of the organization as to whether or not this should be considered today or in 30 days.
30 days.
The next meeting, which is 30 days from now. So if you are voting for this, it is voting for a consideration of this resolution at our next June meeting on Tuesday, June 18th in the evening. Or if you are voting against this, that we consider it right here and now.
Well, that would be a motion to table.
Yeah, correct. I'm sorry, you are correct, Phil. So this would be
I move to table until the next meeting.
I need a second to table the resolution.
A second.
Seconded.
Now that opens up the possibility.
Yes, all right. So, all in favor of tabling this motion for until the June meeting, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All opposed for tabling this resolution? 1, 2, 3. That's it for today. So this will be.
Big man to oppose on the resolution.
I like it.
I'm abstaining.
And abstentions? 1. So this resolution will be properly typed, presented to the membership ahead of the June 18th meeting, where it will come before a full vote of the association. All right.
You know what I would do for that next meeting? I'd invite Carolyn Steptoe. Let her say no.
She was invited to this meeting today, along with all of the other ANC commissioners. I made a purposeful attempt. She is at her niece's wedding today and could not be here. All of the other ANC commissioners were invited directly. And opted out, apparently, this morning. I don't see a single one in the room. So we did invite them. We will invite them again. I make a regular practice of making sure that they're aware of our meetings and what's on the agenda.
But I mean to present.
Over my dead body.
I would let her say no. I think it'd be stronger.
Sorry. There is no love lost between me and if she's a member of the association, she's welcome to address her concerns before the end, even if she's just in attendance. But Commissioner Steptoe, at least going back 2 years, is not a member of this association.
And has bragged publicly.
And, certainly. And I was going to say, I have no use for someone who is declaiming us publicly. And that's, I'm sorry, if you want to convince me otherwise, I'm open to it. Bring it up with me personally. I'm happy to talk with you.
And she's still welcome to join.
Absolutely, 100%. I'll hand her the form myself. I'd even pay for her membership if she wanted it. So, this motion is hereby tabled until the June meeting. I did see a couple of hands go up. We do have other comments. I'd like to take them at this time. Carol?
I would think that a lot of people here would be particularly interested in your trying to come up with an agreement with households that have small children that are within hearing distance, that they are convinced that you have got some set of things that you can do, including stuffing a sock in your patron's mouth and some food, to make sure that there isn't like, because it can't be cut and dry, it's just got to be, you know, so.
I was just thinking, given Carolyn Steptoe's obvious objections to this, wouldn't it be a good kind of point to bring her up here to hear the obvious objections to her in this forum? Plus, afterwards, she cannot say that we did not give her a chance.
I certainly welcome that. However, my concern is that I believe that this may be on, I'm not sure which meeting this, the ANC 5A, 5B will be voting on this particular issue. It may happen before that period of time. I mean, it may happen before the next before the June 18th meeting. I'm also not interested in making a public pillory for Carolyn Steptoe. The way to express our frustration with her is at the ballot box. And I would encourage the neighbors in 5B04 who are frustrated with her lack of leadership or her determination to oppose her at the ballot box in 2012 or in 2014. And I would heartily encourage you to do that because that's how democracies work. I mean, I'm not saying don't hold her accountable. I'm just saying that this isn't the right venue for that. And that's my primary concern. If you've got objections to Commissioner Steptoe's opinions on this subject, take them directly to her and don't be afraid. And
yeah, and there is a great advantage to the community in having the ANC process and this kind of process and other things like a local church's resolution proceed on separate tracks.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that it is, in fact, new information for ABRA. I think that's the way we best serve ourselves, by keeping several voices going on issues like this.
Sure.
Independently.
Right, and I was going to say they're afforded great weight, but I was going to say the Civic Association's opinion does have significant value before ABRA, and I don't want to step into that lightly. I do think that we should invite all neighbors, even those who did not make it today, to come back for next week, or next month, sorry, and we can hear their concerns as well. Gentlemen, you guys would be welcome at that meeting. We'd love to have you there, because your questions should be answered directly. This shouldn't be I think that your concern is absolutely valid. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and this organization isn't committed to continuing that. We need to make the sources available, and that's what we do. So please join us for the meeting on the 18th. Mr. Schramm.
Just a quick reminder of the bylaw. If you're not a paying member right now and you can't vote, if you do that today, you would be able to vote at the next meeting.
That is correct. So please return your form.
Shameless hustling for money.
Well, with Mr. Blassingale unavailable to join us, Daniel is just filling his appointed role.
You're doing dirty work.
Yeah. Sir.
My name is Colin Benson. I'm on Kearney Street, on the 1000 block of Kearney Street. Tony, was that I just saw you hand over that I just saw that piece of paper. Was that a sign?
Yeah, it's just I think we have the same, a similar sign. You know, it's just, we have the sign hanging at the door at the pub. And just, you know, it may or may not be a dialogue, but we do have the sign that says, there's any kind of wording you can do with it. The sign we have at the pub says, please remember this is a residential neighborhood. Please keep noise and parking to a minimum on the side streets. And we were protested by a group. Their main concern was that we put that sign up. We were just down here the other day, and there's now signs on every block saying the same thing. But
Some of you might know, but Tony's my neighbor, and I actually was running late because I was playing soccer in the backyard with his 3 children and my 2 kids. I'm a 200 footer to optimism, or I like to call it Bobby's Q, because that's what it used to be called. Since I've lived there, they've got a liquor license, they've got a renewal, and I believe they're also applying, I got to get my facts straight, for outdoor seating. And none of us know this.
That's not going to happen.
I know. And if you ever need help, I'm at 1018.
The problem is now is people who congregate under that canopy. He put that canopy up thinking he was going to have outside seating. He's not going to have it.
And he put that canopy up Christmas Eve.
He put it down New Year's.
New Year's is
In 6 hours, and let the permit was removed.
But I guess my point here is, and I didn't know about this sign that Tony just had, I just kind of caught a glimpse of it, is, you know, last night, 3 gentlemen got in their Range Rover and said, I thought we were going to Adams Morgan, and came out of Optimism. That baffles me that anyone that's going to Adams Morgan is thinking they're going to go to the lounge on 12th Street. I've tried to contact Jesse, the owner, numerous times saying, hey, your place is your place and I don't care. That's fine. It's not my kind of place, so I don't frequent it. That's my prerogative. But please tell your patrons to not throw their cans or liquor bottles. Don't urinate in my car, which has happened numerous times. We've actually cleaned it. But, and outside, under the smoking, and yelling, and everything. I didn't know about what Tony was just talking about, but that's what I would like to see out of you guys.
Jesse has got signs that say do not congregate, but there's nobody who
There's no one enforcing it.
Lieutenant Bernard said, because I'm not living in that house, I can't do anything about it, but there's some people here who can. Lieutenant Bernard said if there is noise, enough noise, especially hearing from you, after 10 o'clock, call the police.
I'm the type of person that wastes time. I think calling the police sometimes wastes time, so I walk over there and knock on the door and say what's going on.
No, but it's the number of calls from the police that they are going to look at when his license comes out.
I don't
like to call it.
But that's a different story too. I don't want to get into that because that's its own thing. But I just want to see from you guys as the owners and having your patrons, which I hope are the neighbors. And I think that's why you guys are going to these meetings and presenting your case to the neighborhood, where optimism has never presented to the neighborhood, because I don't think their patrons are. A lot of them I know have Maryland plates because they park in front of my house every day. So I think, as owners, if there's a group of people outside, loud or whatever, type down, or what have you. So I think like steps like that are great, and I support that greatly.
Especially if there's kids. I'll tell the kid to shut up.
It could be me. You can tell me.
Again, with the dive bar, I opened that thing when I was younger.
It's not me.
I know, I'm just saying. But again, the kids also.
Stop pointing at me.
You're the one that called me a dive. I used to have something between me and all of you people anyway. But, again, with the kid-friendly nature of it, I think that a lot of that late night, that crowd just isn't the crowd we're going for. We're going for the families, and then mom or dad can take the kids home and come back for the rest of the
That's my plan.
No, not only that, what I hope happens, and I'm just going to relay just a small story. When I opened my establishment on 8th Street, me being I'm going to bring what I hope is to be a quality coffee program. The one thing that I felt most gratified by when I first opened Sova in 2007 was that just seeing neighbors who lived across the street from each other that had never met each other, but they would come to my space like every morning or at least 3, 4, 5 days a week, and they got to know their neighbors, people that they maybe seen in passing, going to work, coming from work, and I just saw, I can't tell you the number of times, it was like, oh yeah, don't you live like at that house and so, and that's what people do in coffee establishments. You come, part of the reason that you come there, you can have coffee at home. Part of the reason, yeah, exactly. We sing some songs, and this is a really groovy time.
What time is the opening for the coffee?
7 a.m.
7 a.m. And is there any plan of any sort of
There'll be food.
Yeah, something grabs you up.
Yes. In addition to having a sit-down meal, I think having an assortment of things where if you're walking in a metro or if you're driving by and you just want to grab a coffee and something else to take with you, whether it's yogurt or something else.
You guys can find good bagels, I'll live there.
No, that's an important part of it, and just getting something that you can just easily grab and go.
There's another question here.
No, I just had a comment. I was
Sure.
just going to say, as a regular at Little Ricky's, that I feel like their establishment is quiet. Like, if you were to walk by there at 11 o'clock at night, people are not stumbling into the street, people are not yelling. It's a restaurant, as a bar, as part of the restaurant, similar to what they're doing. If I'm not, I just don't feel like our neighborhood is that type of neighborhood for people to be like, yeah, we're wasted. And you shouldn't be driving drunk anyway, so I would hope that people would be smart enough to walk there, because I think you're putting a target on your back coming out at 11 o'clock and wants to come here.
Yeah, we're going to make it very clear on the website to people that aren't familiar with the neighborhood. We have bike racks. The metro is 5 blocks away. I mean, we're going to emphasize those things to people so that they realize, oh, okay, I don't have to drive. The metro's only 5 blocks away. Who knew? We're going to make that. We're going to make that very. Yeah, there's a bus. I mean, we're going to make that very clear. Whether it's Twitter, whether it's Facebook, whether it's very present on the website, and and we'll state the exact same thing on the website that this is a neighborhood establishment. Please be respectful of the neighbors, and we'll do everything that we can to make that clear.
Cool. Other questions and concerns?
So you mentioned Cafe de Luna. So what other, I guess, restaurants would you compare this to? Would it be like maybe a Franklin's in Hyattsville, or is there other ones that are kind of in that same realm of beer, good food, kid-friendly kind of stuff?
It's been so long since I've been to Franklin's, but I think Franklin's is probably a good example. I think that
is that weird place with like the
neon.
store?
Weird in a positive way.
Yeah. It's Austin weird. It's Austin weird. This is cool.
I think that, so the Argonaut is down the road from us, and they they have kids eat free nights and that kind of thing. I think that's a little.
Give up discounts.
I think that there's not a ton.
There he is giving away the stand.
They train their staff to know how to deal with kids. I mean, it's a job. We're not, it's not going to be.
I heard free meals for kids.
Then the Argonaut is going to be perfect because they still have kids eat free night.
Yeah, Argonaut is probably a good example.
But I think that they're a little too.
Maybe like Liberty Tree.
Which one?
Liberty Tree.
Liberty Tree does a good job. Yeah. Places like that that are.
But they don't have a bar. I mean, Argonaut has a bar. I'm just
Yeah. Can I field one quick question to the membership real quick? I just want to kind of get a feeling. I understand that there are going to be people who are totally on board, people who are totally against, and people who are right down the middle and waiting to hear more information. So what I'd love to get is a show of hands for who's in favor, who's on the fence, and who's against.
Is this for people who can vote today, or is this such an informal vote that everyone present?
This is such an informal vote. I'd like to know everyone present. Carol.
Can we ask them if we vote for you now, would we get free meals?
There we go, putting it on the table.
Yeah, see this guy. He'll
All right. Yeah.
We'll start a Kickstarter and everybody will pay.
So,
point of order.
Yeah.
Can we characterize it as a poll?
Yeah, this is a poll. This is a non-binding environment. I just want to try to get a feeling for what the feeling of the membership present today is. Just as an affirmation of what I think as opposed to what's based on reality. So I want to get a check for that. So those in favor of Brookland's finest at this point?
We say that if you have an asterisk or not.
Well, I was going to say, if you've got an asterisk, if you've got concerns, put yourself on the fence.
I'm not on the fence.
Oh.
But there's just some things that I think,
The neighborhood agreement, and I think that puts you back on the fence until we've got something like that. All right. All right. Those in favor? Those on the fence?
I'm not voting. Are you abstaining? Yeah.
Those opposed?
You can't abstain from being on the fence.
Those abstaining? Those abstaining right now. All right, there we go. I want the audience participation is important. You got to get everybody's needs met. All right, thank you. I appreciate that. For the recording, I would say overwhelming majority in support. 6 or 8 people on the fence. No opposition, 2 abstentions. Thank you. Questions and concerns at this time? Public comment section. I was going to say anybody. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. I'm going to take you off the hotline.
What's going to happen with the recording?
Recording will be posted will be posted in its entirety, unedited, on the. I'll probably put it up on like YouTube, so that you can listen, or I'll make the file directly available to members or anybody who asks. Johnny.
Can I make a really quick announcement? I'll be really quick.
Yes.
Totally separate.
Yeah.
Really, really quick. There's some neighbors and myself who are organizing a group for the Noise Park. Noise Park, which is across the Noise School, is getting renovated and they're getting a big playground. And so the idea is to form like a neighborhood group that would kind of watch over it if the grass is growing too long, whatever little grass there is there or whatever. You know, we have a group organized that would kind of stay on top of the Parks Department to maintain the park. But the bigger concern right now is that there's going to be community gardens. And we want to make sure that from the get-go, it's organized in a way that it's fair distribution of the plots of the community garden, and that I'm a very strong proponent of community gardens, and my experiences are that if you don't have an education component that goes with it, people who don't know how to garden, they're not successful. You're setting yourself up for better success if you have an organized group that'll coach and train and police it. So I'm talking with a lot of the neighbors in that area on 10th Street, Franklin, that area, and there's a lot of excitement for it. So I just want to get the word out there. There's going to be like a little website or something. I'm spearheading it, but I really don't want to own it. And there's a lot of interested neighbors around Noyes Park who are probably going to take it over. But being that I kind of know people at the Department of Parks and Recreation, we've already started talking, and they have a program where they're trying to do community partnerships. So I just wanted to put that out to the BNCA membership so you're aware of it. Something is coming.
Sure.
I'll probably put it on the serve meetings, whatever.
So those interested could contact you informally now?
Yeah, they sure could. I was trying to set up a Gmail account, if I can remember it. For now, just contact me at info@brooklandbridge.com. That's the best way. And then I can, because still in the formation stages. The next step is going to be a meeting of neighbors who are interested. So I'll set that out maybe early June with the Department of Parks and Recreation. They're going to lead the meeting. I'm just helping to corral the neighbors and doing some of that legwork for them.
Sure.
They're going to own it. I mean, it's their baby to own for the first year or so. The idea is to get a kind of grassroots group of people together, and then as things start to transition off, there's a stable group of people there.
Is there water on site?
Yes.
There is?
Yes, water will be on site. Yeah. And that's the type of thing, what happens when the spigot breaks.
Right.
Who's going to make sure, so if we have that strong group, and then the other thing is I'm not anticipating any problems with the school, but we've seen what happened with Turkey Thicket and the Brookland Middle School. We want to make sure that there's a healthy balance and there's an organized group that can speak on behalf of the neighbors should the school try to encroach or should there be any kind of school neighborhood issues. You'll have an organized group that are ready to go, and it won't be like random people trying to talk to the school. So if anyone wants to join that and spearhead it and do everything, that'd be great. But I kind of saw a need there, and I was talking with off the record with Parks and Recreation people and said, yeah, let's do this. So. Cool.
Is the artificial turf there done?
That's
Yeah.
I would just like to make one comment about some couple things I mentioned earlier, just to provide an alternate view and opinion of a different establishment in Brookland. I've been in Optimism Club a few times, and I found everyone there to be local and some of the nicest people in the establishment that I've had the opportunity to frequent. So I would hope that Brookland's finest continues in that neighborhood tradition.
No.
Yeah. Phil.
I was wondering if there's any update.
Hold on.
I was wondering if there was any update on the Turkey Thicket Brookland School.
The update that I have from the Department of Parks and Rec is concerning the park that was part of the Play DC project, the $32 million for 32 parks in the district. And planning for that goes afoot. They're looking at fall construction for the new park that will be to the north of Turkey Thicket along 10th Street. I do not have an update at this time about the middle school in any way, shape, or form, other than it will be on its current footprint of the Brookland School.
Yeah, but I thought we were hurrying to get a decision. So
I'm sure that there are bureaucratic processes at foot that we can't see.
And on an altogether different topic.
Oh, yes.
Please don't forget, everybody, the Brookland House and Garden Tour, which will be on June 3rd before the next meeting of BNCA. If you're not there, you're square, and the party after it is
the party after is pretty awesome.
One of the major events in the community.
So please do come out for the.
We're also the only garden tour that actually encourages people to steal silverware. A lot of people don't know.
Wow. Who'd have thunk it? Anybody else announcements? Concerns? 11:30 on the nose. How about that? Thanks, everybody. Have a great Saturday. We'll see you in June.